So I was going to make a video talking about my thoughts on Festival Lost, which is relatively positive, but I guess that's going to have to wait because a lot of people have been talking about something that has happened recently with information with the dungeons being released next year that has gotten everybody talking. A lot of people maybe taking it negatively, some people taking it like as a whatever kind of thing. I'll give you my thoughts as well in this video, but I want to look at the perspective as well as the people that are taking it very negatively, that don't have that much money to just throw away to anything. They want to ensure that their decision on what they're buying is the right one and stuff like that. So basically what happened is that there's information that if you want to have the new dungeons, which are I believe the 2 dungeons that was confirmed that will be happening next year, you're going to have to get the deluxe edition. If you don't know what that means, the standard edition is $40. That's just with Witch Queen. And the deluxe edition is $80. They even said that if you do the season pass itself, you won't get the dungeons. It won't be included to the season pass. And that's what's gotten everyone talking and very upset. Because normally, the dungeons, if you remember last year, we got in the Season of Arrivals a dungeon part of the season pass. And heck, even Shadowkeep got a dungeon. While this year, we are getting a dungeon, but it's tied to the $30 expansion of the, not expansion, but the Bungie anniversary. That's why this year kind of feels weird that with Seasonal Lost that we don't have a dungeon when we kind of saw one happen for, Shadowkeep with Seasonal Arrival. So, weird that it's not included to the Season Pass. But, regardless, they did say that if you do get the standard edition, you can still get the dungeons by upgrading to the deluxe edition later on. But still, as usual, a lot of people are still like, no, I don't want to buy the deluxe edition just to be able to play these dungeons, which are 2 of them for next year. And, yes, so for my take, I will openly say I already pre-ordered the deluxe edition on Xbox and my PlayStation. I already did that when they announced basically Witch Queen. I got the collector's edition, for crying out loud. So it doesn't really affect me because of the fact that I already made my plans on buying this. But it's not about me. It's about looking at the perspective of others. The people that can't just throw their money at whatever and just be like, yeah, I don't care. And even then, I do have other thoughts on this that I'll talk about that I've mentioned even in the DCV video that I'll talk about in here. But yeah, I think this does suck for people who just want to get this annual pass, the season pass, or pay per season. If they personally don't like a season, they just skip it. It does suck that they have to spend the money to get the deluxe edition to get this content, because it makes me wonder then, what is going to be tied to these seasons? What other types of content would we probably see? Because in my opinion, when it comes to this year in the seasonal content, it was kind of disappointing here and there, especially Seasonal Lost. I think this season, even though there are good things about it, it just feels lacking when you don't have a new strike or a new PvP map or a dungeon, anything brand new. I mean, last season was great, Season of Splicer, because at least we had the Destiny 1 raid Vault of Glass to grind through. And, when it comes to the launch of Beyond Light, we had the Deepstone Crypt raid to really keep our attention for that period of time. But when it comes to this season specifically, it's kind of lackluster, and that's the big worry that I have when it comes to seasons. I have openly said that if Bungie were to go a subscription route and that ensured tons and tons of content every single month, I'd be all for it, but that's not their goal, and that's, whatever. But anyways, the thing is that makes me very disappointed on this is that with the greed level versus the content level. We've already been told that they can't make Forsaken level amounts of content for obvious reasons. They had Activision to help them do that. But here's the thing. Why then price your expansion the same as Forsaken, which was $40, and Witch Queen is also going to be $40? And just to give you a little bit of a perspective here, Forsaken was $40 and it had 1 new raid, 9 supers, 4 new strikes, 5 PvP maps, a brand new Gambit mode, and came with 3 maps at launch, 2 patrol zones, tons of weapons and armor because they did a vendor refresh for all the vendors. That includes Iron Banner. You know, all those armors that we keep seeing being refreshed to us, reused for, you know, the years since Forsaken. That came at Forsaken. That's the armor. And, yeah, when it came to the, Beyond Light, when it came to what we were paying for, I want to make that clear. What we paid for was Stasis, the 3 supers, the raid, the, you know, exotics, the few weapons. They didn't do a full-on vendor refresh, the story, you know, stuff like that. We didn't get a dungeon, I don't think. I don't believe we got a dungeon. That was Shadowkeep. But, now let's look at Witch Queen, just to put this. Now, I don't know, they haven't said anything specific beyond what we're going to get with strikes and stuff, but this is why I think the free-to-play model is kind of there to screw over paying players, and that just doesn't go so well. But basically, Destiny 2 Witch Queen is looking to have 1 raid, the 6-player activity, maybe a vendor refresh, I would hope, but I know... No promises there, and they have that weapon crafting system, and of course we're going to have a story. But we already know with what they said about PvP is we're not going to get a PvP map at launch of Witch Queen. If anything, we're going to get 2 reprised Destiny 2 PvP maps in the next season, so 3 months after the launch of the Witch Queen. This also means we're not going to get a dungeon at launch of Witch Queen. It's just going to be the raid. And I don't know about strikes. I don't know about Gambit maps. At this point, I'm going to just assume that there's going to be nothing when it comes to Gambit maps. Maybe a strike or 2, like how they did with Beyond Light. They did 1 new strike. And we did get a strike later on in the season pass with Season of the Chosen. But the point is $80 for the deluxe edition to get 2 dungeons and the things that I mentioned with like the raid and stuff, and who knows what the seasonal content will bring. I'm not holding my breath on too many strikes or Gambit maps, but Crucible, we already know what we're going to expect, which is basically 2 reprised Destiny 2 maps, 1 old D1 map, and 1 brand new map within the year. So, 4 PvP-related content, and that just seems kind of disappointing. But regardless, though, this is why I'm disappointed for a lot of you. Forsaken didn't have that free-to-play model yet, and when you were paying the $40, you knew you were paying for that 2 patrol zones. You were paying for those strikes. You were paying for the PvP maps. You were paying for the dungeon. You were paying for the raid, the 9 supers, the tons of new weapons in the vendor. You knew you were paying for a $40 experience that felt worth every penny. Again, just to put in perspective, a $60 game that we got with Destiny 2 at launch had tons and tons and tons of content. Way more than in any of the expansions that we've ever really gotten, because it was a brand new game and it was priced $60 with, of course, deluxe editions, collectors, and so on. When it comes to Witch Queen, it almost feels like we're getting screwed over for paying. And this is why I've felt the pain of others about paying, this much money compared to what we've gotten for Forsaken. I get it. They can't make Forsaken content. They told us this. But then why are you forcing your audience to pay for a deluxe edition when you've confirmed yourself that you have less content than you have ever done compared to Forsaken? It just doesn't feel right. Like, I'm happy about the free content, but I think that's what's making people not realize that content you're not paying for. That $40 you're paying for is the new raid, the story, the maybe the few exotics they'll have for that launch, and the weapons, the legendary weapons they'll have as well, and stuff like that. We're not gonna have all this other stuff that we've seen with Forsaken, and the patrol is free. And I feel like if they added, I even said this with Beyond Light, if they had the patrol, the strikes, the PvP content, and all that stuff tied into the paying of that year, then I'd feel like, okay, maybe we're closer to that $40 mark where it would make sense. But this just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't, especially when I compare it to many other games that are games as a service that do these types of models, or maybe a subscription system. Heck, I know, like, that a lot of you would like to say that this is whatever, and I personally, like I said, I already bought this. Like, I'm fine. But this is worrying. I know, here's the faith in me, okay? Maybe they're using this money to invest for future, as in when they get their feet back up, they got enough people hired, they got the studio all done, all prettied up and stuff, got all the desks and the computers, and maybe this pandemic is done, hopefully, geez. But maybe we're at that point. Then, after maybe Lightfall or whatever, maybe even Final Shape, we'll start to see Forsaken level content. They're not going to bump up the price of $40, maybe $50 if they decide to do the Forsaken level amount of content. I'd be fine with that. Heck, I'd be fine paying $120, $160 a year if I knew that every year we got 8 PvP maps, maybe 6 to 8 strikes, maybe 3 Gambit maps, 1 to 2 patrol zones, 2 to 3 raids. That includes maybe with that, maybe 2 brand new raids and 1 being a D1 raid or something like that, or reprised from Destiny 2. Maybe 15 exotics, tons and tons of legendary weapons and such. A bunch of dungeons, maybe 2 or 3 dungeons, stuff like that. If I had that every year, I'd pay them $160. But the only thing is obviously they need the amount of people to do that, and of course they're struggling with that right now. That's kind of why I haven't been this is the last straw. I'm still buying their deluxe editions and stuff because I'm investing into seeing what they'll do in the future. For any of you that think I'm a hypocrite when I buy things at Eververse, which I get that. The thing is, though, is that I am going to be honest about fatigue. When it comes to seeing this every year and it becomes a continuous, cycle, I'm going to be more fatigued on this. And so are other people, and that's bad. I myself would probably feel the same if I was going to see this happening every year, where there's just lacking of other things that you care about. I mean, if there wasn't a power grind, I think this game would be a lot more different, in my opinion, because that's the one thing I get fatigued on, is that they're go out and grind strikes again because you got to get that pinnacle done. And I'm doing strikes that are old, and I don't want to do the old strikes. I want to do brand new content or overhauls of the old content, but they haven't done anything there. They haven't done anything with Gambit or PvP, but I got to go play those modes because I got to do my efficient power grinds. That's where I get so annoyed. I mean, doing old, even the missions like the Presage or Harbinger, even though I already got my perfect Hawk Moon and so on, having to go do that for a Pinnacle or Powerful is just, it's tedious. It's something that I don't really like to do, and I think that maybe plays a big role as well when it comes to my fatigue in doing certain content in Destiny, but I just want new stuff. I mean, and for any of you that say the reason why they overprice this stuff is to pay their employees, I get that. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't work for Bungie, so I have no idea. All I know is that most companies, for any developer on working on any game, you get paid by the hour. You get raises. It's just like any other job that you would go 9 to 5 or whatever. When they made, for example, the Eververse Dino armor for the Titan, that was $15. Every time somebody buys that, do you think the people or person that was behind that armor is getting a portion of that profits, like maybe 50% or anything like that? Probably not, and most of it's probably going to Bungie, and it's there to make investors happy. That's just how companies normally work. So I don't really get that statement. Like, I feel like money is not really an issue, and it does not really need to be a conversation. What needs to be a conversation is just communication on Bungie's end on what they probably plan on doing for the future when they do get their studio done, when they do get all their employees hired, because they are going to be making multiple games, which is great, but I do want to see content kind of get back to where it was with Forsaken if they can. That should be their end game goal, especially since they're deleting content. If they want to delete content, I think that's another thing that people forget is that, yeah, you might have to buy these dungeons for the deluxe edition, but fast forward maybe like 3 years later, it's gonna be vaulted most likely. And that's just something that I don't really like knowing, kinda. And I mean, a lot of people don't. Personally, for me, you know, I'm okay with seeing the Forsaken story go away because I already experienced it. But I know that it does suck seeing stuff being deleted that you paid for. But yeah, it's just the main point is that I personally am like, I already paid for this. For all of you, I feel like this does suck for you if you don't have the money. And when it comes to Bungie, I want them to have a positive reputation and keep it that way. I think that there's too much positive shielding. What I mean by this is that people just shunning anyone that has any sort of negative feedback, even if it's just, you know, the scary word for Twitter, criticism, which is what I'm trying to do here. I'm not telling Bungie, oh my gosh, F you words, you know, like you're just, I hate you, I'm not going to play your game, I'm not going to buy anything, etc., etc. I'm not complaining about the Eververse store. Like, the main point is I'm just disappointed. But people would still scream and yell and say, shut up, you're not working at Bungie, you don't understand what Bungie deals with, etc., etc., etc. And I want to make this clear. I am not throwing any shade at the community managers or developers. They're doing a great job. Even if I pay $60 for just one raid, okay? It's so super overpriced, like, oh my gosh, what the heck, but the raid is really good but not worth $60. Who am I going to be upset with? The developers? The community? No. The higher ups that decide to price it that way. I'm going to be like, man, this is a great raid, and they've always, I mean, Deepstone Crypt is an amazing, beautiful experience. I know that a lot of people feel like it's short, too easy, etc. I love it. Like, I think the developers did a great job with the aesthetic, the sound, the mechanics, just a lot of things about it is great. So, developers, you're doing a great job, regardless, and that's how it's always been. Even with the Eververse stuff, like, holy crap, the stuff that you make over there. Yeah, it's behind a paywall. But the developers weren't like, okay, gonna price this as $20. They're not like doing commissions and getting the profits directly from it. That is Bungie making those decisions, the higher ups. So that's kind of why I think a lot of that communication is just kind of just blocked. You know, it's criticism, not trying to crap on Bungie's, you know, work, the things that they do. The reason why I keep buying these things is to invest in the faith of the future of the company. But, it is a big but, if they don't show any sort of faith of keeping with that idea that I have in what they're going to invest for their future plans to make content the way that everyone would be happy with, then I could see Destiny being in a very bad spot for veteran players and seeing a lot of people probably leave, and the only people that are going to be playing are new light players. And maybe that's something that they kind of look at, because, you know, that's the thing. This is a great game for anyone that's just stepping in. If you're a player that's been playing this non-stop and has been sticking with it since the launch, I'm pretty sure that you feel kind of fatigued, especially if you're a PvP focused person. I'm sorry. I am sorry that this is happening to you. But that's just kind of my take. Regardless, you know, I'm here to invest in what they may do down the road. I'm looking forward to freaking Savathûn. You can't ruin that for me, no matter how many negative things that are being said on the internet about what Bungie's doing. I just want to play that campaign. I want to do that raid. I want the Savathûn experience that I've been constantly saying as like a meme for years, when I was saying like the first year expansion was going to be the Taken Queen, and instead it was Forsaken. And then I was like, okay, all right, there's a teaser image on the next expansion. It shows a castle on the moon. Castle, queen in the castle, the moon, hive, Savathûn. No, it's about a pyramid ship that's underground. And then when it came to Beyond Light, I was like, okay, we're hinting towards the darkness. Savathûn's gonna show up. No, it's about Aramis and snow. Okay, that's when I gave up. It became a meme. So, finally, I'm getting the Savathûn thing, the expansion. So I'm getting it regardless. I've been excited for it forever. That's it. That's my take. But again, what I'm looking at it is not my own, because it would just, this video would be a minute of being like, I already bought it. Bye, everyone. I'm just looking at it the perspective of other people that can't just buy whatever. But I will be open to say that compared to Forsaken, this burger is bland. It's boring. We need more juice to that burger. We want it to have like layers of meat and cheese, unless you're you know, lactose intolerant, maybe something else. And it could be a vegan burger too. It has pickles and stuff. The point is we want more stuff. That's it. The end. Regardless, though, I want to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Again, don't be that blatant, just positive shield, like, to a company. Like, it's just, give criticism. And if you're going to shield Bungie on stuff, take note on what I talked about. Don't prove in your comment that you didn't listen to anything that I said, that I would have to rehash in your reply, in my reply to your comment. That just looks silly, and it looks very unprofessional on your comment. Like, don't do that. Come on, because I've seen a decent amount of those whenever I make these kind of videos giving criticism. Just don't do that. Come on. Work for what you're doing. What you're gonna reply. But regardless, thank you so much for listening. I hope you had have a great well, I hope you had a great Chibi-tastic day, evening, night, but I hope you have as well a great Chibi-tastic day, evening, night, wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next video. Chibi out.